Special counsel Jack Smith is asking the Supreme Court to weigh in on whether former President Donald Trump can be criminally prosecuted. It's part of the investigation into Trump's alleged efforts to overturn the 2020 presidential election. Trump signaled he would ask an appeals court to weigh in on the decision to get the case heard. Smith is looking to bypass the appeals court and take it straight to the Supreme Court to avoid any additional delays. In chatting with the producers earlier on the phone, you said you called this request from Jack Smith the, quote, whole ball game. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, this is the football equivalent of skipping from the preseason right to the Super Bowl. Jack Smith is trying to bring his case right to the U.S. Supreme Court to decide a fundamental question which has practical and long-lasting implications. Can a former president be prosecuted for crimes he allegedly committed while in office, even if he's been impeached before the criminal case comes to court? It has obvious practical implications. This historic trial of Donald Trump in front of a federal jury is scheduled for March 4th. Trump is trying to pause all the proceedings till after the election, saying there are issues he wants to appeal. So Jack Smith wants the Supreme Court to weigh in promptly and decide whether that trial moves forward March 4th. But the broader, more fundamental questions are long-lasting. Can a former president be criminally prosecuted for what happened while he was in office? You can see the historic nature, the history book material the Supreme Court could be deciding if they decide to take it up now.
Big news today, special counsel Jack Smith getting smacked with a serious reality check after the Supreme Court delivered a unanimous decision late today, rejecting his politically charged attempt to get Trump on trial by March, the height of campaign season, of course. As Republicans are in the middle of the process of choosing their 2024 candidate, that's what Jack Smith was trying to do, and he got hit hard today. Today's ruling means Trump's appeal of Smith's ridiculous January 6 charges, citing presidential immunity, will have to go through the full appeals process before it very likely does end up before the Supreme Court. All right, for more on this, we're going to bring in Will Scharf, former federal prosecutor who is part of Trump's legal team and worked on this case specifically. Will, good to have you on. We appreciate it. Just give us your reaction to this and what it means.
Yeah, look, Jack Smith attempted to short-circuit the entire appellate process, all with the goal of making sure that President Trump would be on trial at the height of campaign season. There was no valid legal rationale for this case to move at the sort of breakneck pace that the special counsel's office has insisted on. It's purely political. Today, fortunately, the Supreme Court rejected that sort of rationale for expediting this case and unanimously ruled that this case would proceed like any other case through the appellate system as it's set up in our federal court system.
Well, what kind of message does this send to Jack Smith and to those that are trying to take the president down in this very, very clearly political attack we've been seeing from all different angles?
I think the Supreme Court sent a very clear message that it's not going to give Jack Smith any special treatment. He's not going to get any special favors. He's going to have to litigate this case the same way any other case would be litigated. We've raised very serious issues with the way Jack Smith has proceeded with indicting this case, the way that they've prosecuted it thus far. Those issues are going to be mooted in the district court, in the Court of Appeals, in the en banc Court of Appeals, and then eventually at the Supreme Court. But the Supreme Court said today that it would not truncate the entire legal process just to meet the political objective of Jack Smith in the special counsel's office.
Yeah, this is definitely a setback for Jack Smith, who had hoped to leapfrog the Court of Appeals and go straight to the Supreme Court. Instead, he will have to first litigate this matter in the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals. Now, in the meantime, since he filed this request with the Supreme Court, the D.C. Circuit has said they would hear the question on an expedited basis. They have set oral argument in the case for January 9th. If they decide fairly quickly, then we could be back at the Supreme Court maybe within a month or so, if the court acts quickly. Or it could be that they take their time and we don't decide the case until June, in which case the trial will be delayed by that amount. So I think the March 4th trial date, either way you slice it, is in some trouble now. That doesn't mean it can't be tried before the election, but I think we're looking more at a summer trial instead of a spring trial.